Hi, everybody. Welcome to this summertime meeting of the Inventors Roundtable. And we've got two of our members joining us tonight, and we're going to recap a little bit about the R&D tax credit, because Andrea was at the meeting, Shelley was not. And so Andrea gets to help me recap that. And Shelley, you're right in the sweet spot now of being able to take advantage of that R&D tax credit.
Okay.
And, you know, it's been amazing how many people I have talked to that had no idea that you could use that R&D tax credit when you're an independent inventor, which has been, you know, great. You know, and even the leaders that I have talked to in the different groups across the country did not know that their inventors could use this. Most accountants do not know, so they don't recommend it to you. It has been a real eye-opener since we went to ASD Market Week, because that's where we met these guys.
Interesting. Okay.
And so, you know, Andrea, fill in the dots if I miss anything, since you heard the meeting, is basically anything that you do from the first time you do a search to, you know, you're looking into and researching different packaging. All of this work that you're doing with ITI goes into the R&D tax credit classification. And they can go back up to 3 years for your development.
Okay.
All right. And the one thing that I found really interesting is that, you know, that we had two guys on, and one of them is the engineer that has been developing it. So it's like, well, I can't take, you know, a credit for the own work because I haven't paid myself for the work. And the guy goes, then put yourself on the payroll and pay yourself, and then buy your equipment out of what you're paying yourself. And now you do become a deduction. So he was very good at some of the creative ways that inventors can do this. And he said, this tax credit is nothing new. It has been around for what, 30, 40 years?
I think so.
Long time, but it's generally the big companies that are using it, the ones that are developing cars and rockets and, you know, new computers and all that kind of thing. And he said, no, it is good for the independent inventor whenever you're doing research and production on, when you get to the point where you order the products from ITI, that is not in this category. It is on the research and development that you fall into the category. So while they're, you know, doing this tug of war on prototypes, that falls into the category.
So once I give approval of the samples to go into production, then at that point it ends, so to speak.
There you're getting into the gray area. So you want to be able to ask somebody who knows about the R&D tax credit. And it's interesting because generally the accountants don't know.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's what I found really interesting, right, Andrea?
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised too that it sounded like it covered pretty much everything except marketing. Like, and to me, I almost would question that, because it's like, I don't have product yet. I have to get something in the marketplace before I can say I'm done, because if I can't get a licensing agreement, I can't find production people. I mean, I feel like that's all still costs that should be considered marketing, that should be considered production or development, because until you really have a product out there, at what point is it live and real?
Well, I've already started marketing. I mean, I've already started working with a marketing agency. It depends, I guess, on what you have and the process of what it takes to, I guess, make it aware to the audiences that you want to reach. Now I put a pause right now to my marketing because of the production, but I've already started initial research, having someone else do it for me.
Right.
So,
but like these conventions, Rita, that's more what I was thinking about, was the convention, like that we went to try to get that agreement. I mean, it's considered marketing, but it's, you know. No,
ladies, you've got to look at the words you're using.
Okay.
It's all in the words and the descriptions.
Okay.
All right. So when you say, I went to do research on interest in my product. Research.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
You go to a show because you're still doing research. You found out, and this backs that up. You found out a very good improvement on your product by going to the show, part of the research.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you weren't there to sell any product.
No.
You were gathering information. You were gathering price points, research. You were looking at, making a better product, research. All right. So all of that falls into research. You can back up to
then that's
your
good.
patent.
Yeah. So that should all come under that, all that. Yeah.
It's all the way you put it into the categories. And that was one of the things that he was pretty creative on. It's like, and the guys asked me some questions afterwards, and I said, okay, we're turning the recording off. And stuff. But it was really interesting the way that Michael was talking about, do it this way. And so when you look at then why you went to the show, you were gathering information, research. All right. This time frame, Shelley, with you for dealing with, ITI, it's development.
That's true. It is. You're right. Okay.
Okay. So all of that, because you don't have a product to sell yet.
Nope.
And even at that point, then when you're saying, all right, so I need to do some research on the best packaging. All right. So you're going to do some research. You might have to try some. You might have to figure out what's going to work in the marketplace. And so there's a lot of things that and I think this is where inventors miss it a lot of times, is that you're gathering the information to look at your options. Research.
Yes. That makes sense.
Yes.
All right. Sometimes you're just spending it on your own, your own computer and doing your, going through and search. All right. So, that's, you don't get an invoice for that. All right. One of the things that he was, said multiple times was put yourself on your payroll.
But that was my question too. And because I wasn't looking at taxes at that moment, I haven't gone back to research him yet and ask those questions. But my question is, so are you taking a salary based on what you would owe in taxes? In other words, are you just giving yourself an hourly? How are you taking that credit for your time? That's what I didn't understand with him. I'm like, if no money is coming in yet from the product development side and all that, where is that? Is it coming off your taxes that you're saying, I'm claiming $50,000 worth of salary a year? I mean, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, no. Probably not exactly what we had in mind, but let me double check
I'm
here.
just playing.
See if we've got anybody else trying to get in. No, not yet.
Well, Andrea, I do know in working on my pro forma that my score mentor said, and he calls it owner distribution, i.e. salary. He goes, put in your salary, what you need to live on, put it in there. Even if you get a job, you're having to run the company. You're going to have someone else from the company. You're the one who's running the company, whatever that entails right now. So it's your time to put in to run the company. So I've already put it in.
Well, how do you determine that value? What it was your last, what you paid at your last company got paid? I mean, how do you determine your value in that respect?
Only you can do that. Right? And part of it is kind of a tug of war as far as, you can't, your accountant may not let you take that as your deduction, all right, for paying yourself. But on the other hand, if you get an R&D tax credit and they go, well, this part doesn't really qualify, but you were giving yourself a salary for doing all of this research.
Right. Yeah.
And then that does. Now, you may not have moved any money anywhere.
Right.
But on paper, all right.
Right.
You can take that as long as you've declared yourself then a contractor. Don't do a W-2 employee. You're a contractor. All right. You're a 1099er. All right. So then, like I said, you may not have any money that's changed any hands at all. If you're a single member LLC and a contractor, you're just giving yourself a W-2, 1099. I mean, so, and then again,
Sorry, go. I'm again. Do I talk to my tax guy and say, how do I claim a salary and how much can I claim? I mean, is there a limit on it?
Talk to Michael.
Okay.
And no, I mean, it's got to make sense. I mean, if you pay yourself $1 million and nothing changed hands, they're going to go, wait, what? So it's got to make sense. All right.
Right.
So
and that's what I'm saying. Do you base it off your last previous salary?
20 hours a week, or, you know, 40 hours a month, or whatever you're doing, and I'm paying myself, you know, $100 an hour to do this. All right, make it look reasonable. All right, you don't want the IRS rolling their eyes and saying, wait, what?
Yeah. And that's my
you
question.
know,
I want to be honest, and I just don't know where that comes from. Are they looking at your history when they say, yeah, you know?
yeah, but if you just set up your LLC, it's brand new, and you can go back and take the 3 years.
Okay. Okay. I see.
With an LLC, you can use, then you don't have to, you know, you don't have to file separately. You can do it as part of your personal filing. All right, you just have a business expense sheet, and then there's some other forms, but it's certainly a lot easier to tie it all together. But that's where you talk to, you know, Michael, somebody who really knows that. And when we get some of the paperwork back from them, then what I'll put together is a newsletter that has all the links and everything and the information that he's giving us. He was going to write a kind of a bullet point on what inventors should do when they're just getting started, so that anybody in the process can say, okay, this is where I'm at, and this is where I can back up for the last couple of years and take some of the other, go to it. And then, you know, who you can contact at ADP. They've got a couple of different guys that you can contact there, so that you've got your own. And he said, you know, talk to your accountant. But when your accountant says, I don't know, yeah, you talk to Michael first, so you've got the information to take to your accountant, and then you say, yeah, all right, you know, when you're doing my taxes, I want you to take this. And that way, then you can reference, you know, ADP, the R&D tax credit. And if they go, I have no idea how to do this, it's like, here's the link to the IRS website. Go read it.
That'd be perfect. If they could bullet point those things and say, and actually personalize it for like each inventor, like, what have you done? We could work it out to where he could give us our personal ones, and we could just hand it to our accountant and go, per all of this, because I'm an inventor, this needs to be looked at on our taxes, you know, and they would have that ability to do that. Yeah. So yeah,
and they've got a link. They've got a link on their website for the R&D tax credit. And then, like I said, they've got a couple of different guys that we've got their direct email that you can go to. And then I think that Michael was their boss, or, you know, that talk to, but you can talk to him as well. You know, he's really good at certainly getting back to me, but they're really trying to get this information out there. And like I said, I was absolutely amazed at how many people had no idea that it existed.
Right.
I mean, when I met them at ASD Market Week, I thought it was a scam. I really did. I mean, I'd heard of it, but, you know, it's like for inventors. And I told him, it's like, you know, our inventors aren't doing new electric cars. They're doing kitchen gadgets. And he goes, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And it's like, so then I came back and I did some research. And sure enough, there it was, right on the IRS website, the R&D tax credit. And so, yeah, you know, when you first look at it, it's, you know, they talk about it. You think it's going to be the big pharmaceuticals and, you know, aerospace and all that kind of stuff. But no, when you dig down into it, the things that you can, you know, take are your research and your development of any new product.
Rita, can that be retroactive and tax?
I'm sorry, what was that, Shelley?
Can it be retroactive on your taxes?
You can go back 3 years.
That's right. You just said that. Sorry about 3 years. Okay.
And he repeated that a couple of times.
And what's ADP? I mean, I know of it. What is ADP?
I have no idea. If you punch in ADP.com, they come up.
Okay.
ADP does a lot of payroll for a lot of companies. They're a payroll company.
Yes.
ADP.
I just didn't know.
And most corporations had some interaction with it doing their finances, ADP.
Right. And I always knew them as ADP. So I have no idea what it stands for, but I'm sure it does have some meaning somewhere. And so that's, you know, we've got somebody else joining us. And so anyway, that is, you know, one of the things that you can go after and take a look at it. Hello there. How are you tonight? Oh, you're muted. You're muted. We can't hear you.
How about now?
There you are. How are you?
Okay, yes, I clicked on the wrong link. I was trying to get in through a Meetup or something, and
Oh,
Oh yeah,
I
no,
wasn't-
I try to send
but
out the hard link through both our sites, and
yeah,
so that you can get in directly. So, all right, we've got Shelley Wetzel here. We've been talking for a while, and Andrea Vaughn. So introduce yourself and tell us what you got, where you're at.
I'm John Aiken from Pittsburgh Inventors Club, and working on a number of like gardening, lawn and garden type devices, you might say, apparatus devices, and nothing on the market yet. So,
Well, I've got the prototypes that you sent to me. The I don't know if it was the squirrels or the raccoons that had a feast on my, vines that were growing, my morning glories that I had planted there. And it's like we were so excited because they were about 2 inches high. And the next day I came out, and not only were they gone, but the pots had been all tipped over and everything, ripped out. And I was just so frustrated, all over a birdhouse.
oh jeez.
So anyway, we started over again. I've got a couple of other ones that are doing real well, so we'll go ahead and get those up. And what we're going to do, John, is put them on the side of the fence.
Primarily.
Yeah. So no, we're going to get those up, and when I've got some jasmine that is growing very, very well on the other side.
I have mine on a block wall, with Versalock wall with clematis climbing up them.
Yeah, and where we've got the clematis, there were the smaller space, so I want to be able to use yours where it makes sense. And we've got a bunch of wisteria that grows over on the one side as well. That's the real viney stuff. So a couple of good places to stick it up, and everything. Will be easier to put it up when it's not growing like crazy.
Right. Like it works very well with pole beans also. I had a lot of pole beans, a lot of green beans last year.
Well, we just got done spending, the last 20 minutes or so talking about the meeting 2 weeks ago with the R&D tax credit. Did you know about the R&D tax credit for inventors?
I've heard of it, but I couldn't recite anything specific about
Michael
it. No.
Smith was the guy that was on from ADP and talked about it, and almost every inventor who's developed a product qualifies at one point or another to use the R&D tax credit. It was amazing. And, when I met them, I said, most of our inventors are doing, pet products, kitchen products, and gardening products. They are not doing, automobiles and, spaceships. And he goes, no, this is for anybody who does research and develops a product to go to market. So it was very interesting. He wasn't a real dynamic speaker. He wasn't going to make you, laugh and get engaged, but he gave us the information we needed, and we were grateful.
Okay. Well, keep that in mind.
So, and we recorded it, so you can go back and listen to it. And you can share it with your members in Pittsburgh as well. You'll be able to send them the link to it, so that, their goal is to get every inventor at least aware. I mean, it's one thing if you don't qualify for any of it, but holy cow, if you do and you can get, $1,000 back, that's $1,000.
Right.
So, and I'll, share his name and contact. So if you want to have him as a speaker at your group, you can do that as well. But that's kind of where we are with that. And I had told, I think I told one of you ladies that in 2 weeks, we're going to be having Robin Alderman with Packwell. And she's going to talk about packaging and warehousing and fulfillment. And so we're going to do, probably every other meeting or so, or, every, couple of months, a guest speaker that is a sponsor for the radio show, so that we can get some of that information out there. I think, Shelley, one of the ones that we'll do is, just that problem that you were having, because I've had so many inventors struggle with dealing with the manufacturing and the layers of prototypes that get done until you find the one that says, and how accountable are they to you, the inventor? Well, you're paying the bill, so they should be very accountable. John, how did you do that? Where are yours made?
Well, right now I'm sourcing parts. Mine, I think right now I'm just making them myself from parts. I'm looking for parts I can acquire with that are already hand, nothing custom made. I think they'll be custom assembled, but but I think I will not, hopefully not need the parts. But some of the parts that I was planning to use aren't available now, and so I'm looking at other ones, and so. But just to get some more, beta testing and that, I just trying to assemble a few more right now and see what the feedback is, and then go out and there. We did get. I've been fiddling with the patents for a while. Got a notice of allowance on that recently, and submitted our issue fee, and we'll get the patent on that pretty soon.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's a big step. I know we had one of the big programs that we had on the radio a couple of weeks ago was because of a young, I say young woman, she might not be all that young, but relatively speaking, she's a young woman. And she was just so angry that she'd gotten an office action.
Yeah.
It's like, why weren't we told about the, an office action, and why did we get rejected, and we should never have filed. And, the attorney that I had referred her to, he used to be an examiner, and he goes, no, they get points for rejections, and they get demerits for not meeting the quota of rejections. And so
well, I do.
They will go out.
Yeah, I do my own patent work because I worked for a couple of patent agents for several years, and that's what I dealt with a lot. I dealt with these one-time inventors, first-time inventors, and that's the question we have a lot. What do you mean an office action? Why do I have to do this? And so I was kind of dealing with that frequently with clients there. That I never became a patent agent, but I was sort of more interested in doing it for myself, really. And so that's what I'm doing now.
That's where it's like, well, if you don't get at least one office action, it was probably too narrow. And stuff. So Shelley, tell Andrea and John what you're working on.
Well, I'll do a show and tell a little bit of that. I will change my background because blurry does not show very well. Let's see, how can I quickly turn off? Oh, I don't know. Can I even do it?
You should be able to. Go down to where you see the three little dots at the bottom.
Yes, I found it. So no blur. Well, no. Filters, no. Backgrounds. Don't want slightly blur. Okay, don't want blur. I don't want to add my own either. Can I just do regular?
Do you want to share screen?
Sure, I'll do a share screen.
Well, I gotta figure out how to
my invention. Okay, does that show? Or can you see me?
It says the infinity mirror.
Okay, so I guess dismiss infinity. I don't know. Am I doing it right?
Well, we can see all of us multiple times.
That's true.
You have to pick what you want to share, I guess, now.
Yeah.
In the background there.
All right, let me hold on. Let me try one more time. If not, then I will try again. Then I'll.
Shelley, are you still there? I don't know. I think maybe we lost her.
Yeah, she looks frozen.
Yeah. She'll have to come back in. All right, Shelley, if you can hear us, re-enter. So, all right, John, what's your group been up to out there in Pittsburgh? Nope, you're muted, John. John, you're muted.
Keep forgetting
There
I
you
turned that off. Yeah. So I was out of town for half of May, and then I, came back and had COVID and been trying to recover from that. And so I did send this link out. Well, I probably sent the wrong link out there, but for about 40 of the people on my email. So maybe that's why none of them joined in. And I'm going to get the send out this the Google Meets one instead of the Meetup
Yeah,
one.
well, what I'll do is I will send you the direct link, and it's the same one every meeting.
You told me that, and I thought I kept it somewhere, but somehow I went the roundabout way. I found something else first, and oh, that's it. Yep.
Oh, that's all right. I know we had when we were doing the radio show last week, and Michael King is the host of Home Talk USA, and he was just fit to be tied because we could all hear him and we could all hear each other and visit with but he could not hear us. And just didn't, and then he realized he had on the wrong headset.
Yeah.
And he goes so embarrassed. He goes, oh my God, I cannot believe I did this. So I think, we need to get you on the radio. Are you ready to be on the radio?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think yet, but I have to listen to a radio show first so I know what goes on. And then
Well, it's just an easy conversation. I send you the questions ahead of time. I'm sure that all of your members would enjoy listening to you. And, it's free, so you can get on, you can talk about what you did, but I'll send you the topics because you don't have to be in the marketplace yet to be on. There's a lot of times we have topics. I know I've had Andrea on, and a lot of people, because we've got different topics that are particular to an inventor when I know where they are. And so I'll send you the topics and stuff. So, and then when you're ready, we do start posting websites and videos and everything for you, and it's still free.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, I'd like to tune into one first and then listen to someone else and get an idea that way.
You can go to my website and look at, the media, the radio shows, or you can do the Invent-America, and it comes up, and the most recent ones are at the top.
Okay.
So take a look. Okay.
All right.
And so otherwise, anything else going on, John?
No, it seems like it's been, the patent work lately and getting more involved at the moment. There's different office actions coming in and trying to wrap things up on some of that end. And then this working with some of the parts acquisition for this trellis thing.
All right. All right.
I'm doing well, getting a lot of my gardening work going outside too. I got getting my own pole beans and tomatoes and everything.
Yeah, I've been busy doing that as well. So I was going to ask you something now, and I can't remember what it was. I'm sure I'll think about it about 2:30 in the morning, and I'll give you a call. But I will send you the link so that you've got the regular hard link to log in, so you can let your guys know, and it's the same one every time. And then I will send you the link that goes directly to the list of the radio shows as they're streaming, so that you can see that as well. And there she is.
My internet went down, so.
Oh, all right. I do understand that, because mine will go down from time to time, and then I just disappear.
Yeah. That was it.
All right. So you were going to tell everybody what you're working on.
Yes, let someone else go. Let me make sure I get the background the way it should be before I do anything else. Or I'm gonna try that and then turn it off.
Andrea, go ahead and fill everybody in on the cool improvement that you've got for yours.
Yeah, I mean, just waiting to hear on it, of course. But I have a pet travel feeder, and it's like 2 weeks of feeding for your pet. If you drop them at a kennel, so you can travel with it. It's all their food and needs that they have. It's almost like having a little child and having all their luggage. So now you have your pet stuff filled mostly with their food. And we decided to do the CIP, which is a continuation in part, which is an additional patented piece that will be part of it, which would be a removable interior, so that you could then apply it into a piece you might already have, or you can rearrange it somehow to make it fit one week and then have other needs in there as well. So it's kind of still in the, I'm going to work on a prototype, I think, of that one myself as well. And so I'm thinking all that through at this time as I wait for the CIP to come through. And then hopefully the entire patent will be, I don't know, Rita, it should be soon, right? I mean, how long does it before the patent office gets to it and does all that? It should be soon, right?
No, it is 18 months before you get a notice of publication. From the time you get the notice of publication, all right, then it's about 6 months before you hear from the examiner. The notice of publication basically means they've been assigned. It's been assigned to an examiner. So after that, then you'll get your first office action. But normally, I know one of my guys in the Boston area, when he got an office action, and he goes, "This is ridiculous. I think I'm going to sue them. The director should be fired for letting them get away with this." And I said, "Honey, you're right in the middle of average." I said, "You have an average number of office actions, an average number of time it's taken, and nobody is going. They're going to think you're nuts." And he goes, "Really?" And so it was like, yes, because I think this was his, and it was a silly office action, but you can see when you know their protocols that it was just the next one in the list. And so the attorney called the examiner and, walked through it and everything and da-da-da-da-da. But, he was so frustrated. And it's like, no, you're right in the sweet spot of average. And no, you don't want to. Now, the one thing that he can do, I did not realize that he was 67. He can do the petition for special consideration because of age. And that speeds it up dramatically. But I think you've got to be 65 to have that done or ill.
Oh, okay.
And if you are ill, it's a similar type of petition, but just special needs. And then you can speed it up from, the whole process at that point then might take 18 months instead of just 18 months for publication. But yeah, it's a dance. You move forward. You don't file unless you think you got something, and then you just go down the road getting there.
Okay. Yeah. So that's where sort of waiting. I'm in hurry up and wait mode.
Yes. Well, and I think that the improvement, the fact that, it could be adjusted for any industry. So now instead of just having the insert for pets, a luggage company could license it, and now the inserts could be done for beautician, medical, pets, still, art teachers, anything. That insert could be done in multiple ways. And so now we're not looking at licensing from pet companies, but we could look at licensing from all kinds of luggage companies and carriers that want to be able to broaden their marketplace. So that came out of the research that you did at the show.
That's right. I'm going to make a note of that. Yeah, for sure.
So I think that was a very good improvement.
Yeah. And I
it's expensive to make the insert than it is to make the whole piece.
Right. Yeah.
Getting strange messages on my screen about internet. Oh, I hope it stays.
I know. Yeah. I want to let you know, Rita, too, I don't know if you were aware, there's a global pet show coming up for inventors in Orlando in March of 2025. And I thought,
there is
my God.
The Global Pet Expo.
I think that's what it is. Not the Super Zoo, which is this month, like in August in Vegas. It's called the Global Pet Expo or something in Orlando. Huh?
Yes, I've been there. Took a product years ago. And both of my dogs have one of those products on their collars.
Okay, good.
It's a large show. It's expensive, but it is in your.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll see. It's something that they told me from Super Zoo to look into that because it's on the East Coast and it's big and it's in Florida. Yeah.
Super Zoo is a much smaller show, and pretty much for dogs. and the Global Pet Expo is much larger, but it is close for you, as opposed to way in Las Vegas. So, Shelley, are you ready?
I think so.
All right, take it away, dear.
All right, so let's do share screen. And what is best? Window, because I don't usually use Teams that much. Is it window or entire screen? Or Google Teams, sorry.
Try entire screen.
Okay, all right, try that. And then I guess I'm gonna leave the infinity mirror. It says dismissed or don't show this again.
Honey, I have no idea.
I'm just gonna leave it as it is. You let me know if you can see my product. I'll hold it up here.
Okay. I'm the owner of the screen, so I get to, All
right, well, it's called Django. This is the back of it, and this is the front of it. And when you open it up, and you have on your phone or a tablet what's called a mounting ring, and the mounting ring attaches to the front part like that. Why? Because there's 4 magnets in the back, and it acts, this part with the front part acts like a socket with the ring and the round part here. So the original intent of this was to suspend it with a mounting puck that goes here.
All right, stop just a second. Go off of the share screen.
Okay.
Because as far as we're concerned, I can actually see you bigger and better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll do a quick reintroduction. Okay. So here's Django flat, the back and the front. And you open it up, the back. And on the back of my phone or on a tablet, you put what's called a mounting ring. And the mounting ring attaches right here in the front. So it's like a snout. In the back here are 4 magnets. Magnets do not affect phones or tablets. They do affect laptops or desktops. So the original intent was to have this under a kitchen cabinet so I could see recipes, bake, email, watch movies, TV, whatever it is, with a mounting puck that goes into this area. And then, a screw goes through to go under your cabinet. It does not go through the cabinet. So if it's underneath a cabinet or a shelf, you can, because of the mounting puck, you can turn it whichever view you want. You can also do this with it. And you can, with one finger, do this. For whatever, again, your visual needs may be. And if you want to take it off the mounting puck, which is supposed to be a little tough so it doesn't slide up and down, you can then turn it upside down. It still holds. And I use mine on my desk every day. I had 100 machined about 8 or 9 years ago, all about 90% of them with a clear anodized coating over the silver, over the aluminum, excuse me. And then I had the remaining, I don't know, I think 10 or 15 in primary colors. So I had them anodized in red, green, and blue because I wanted the product all along to be something fun and not always techie type of thing. So the 100 that I had machined, I've sold some, I've given away some over the last few years. When we hit the pandemic, I also didn't have a mentor during that time. I went to a Shark Tank type of competition at a university I actually used to work at. I won $30,000, one of 2 people of 3 who won money, and they were supposed to assign me a mentor. They forgot. I don't know what the issue was then, but they finally assigned me a mentor like a year and a half later, and the guy's like, I don't have time for you. Now, also, this was the Eastern Shore of Maryland, so most of your industries are poultry and fish. So there wasn't anyone they feel they could give me, and I really got lost for a few years. I also put about $60,000 into it so far, and when the pandemic came, everything just sort of, hit the skids. At that time, I had a research study done for Django based on one aspect of small business and one aspect of consumer. It came back incredibly positive. So it gave me initiative again to get going. And I I did have one patent. We were talking about patents. I did have one patent. It took 2.5 years to get approved, which with no changes, which I hear is rare. Long story short, although Rita knows some of it, I paid the first renewal fee, and I did not pay the second one. Did not know. I should have kept up with it. My attorney as well, and it expired. So I got a hold of my attorney and I said, we had another patent to, like a second patent that had for major changes of this first one, that was supposed to be filed in 2020. It was as a provisional because he thought I was going to have changes on it. And I'm like, no. And that expired because it wasn't refiled with here. So I finally got a hold of him on his dime. And I said, for whatever reason, the first patent expired because we didn't follow up on the second payment, maintenance payment, I guess is what it's called. And the second patent, which was a better one, because there were major updates to the invention, the provisional went away. So he just recently filed the second one, because that is the first one, but just with the better updates to it. Because the price to reinstate the first one was $1,250 versus $400 for the second one. So we just scrapped the first one because it's still just a duplication, but with better features for the second one. Yeah, long story. Also, I am as talking to Rita about a half an hour before the meeting tonight, working with ITI Manufacturing out of Sugar Land, Texas, who has started the sample process and tooling with a company in Vietnam. And there have been some miscommunications, and Rita calmed me down. So, because this is anodized, clear coating on silver, but anodizing is a coating or ink, as I call it, that sinks into the metal, where powder coating is risen. It rises up on the metal. So I have samples, but I have found out today that the samples he sent me cannot be colored. And so to give you hopefully a quick example, if I can find one here. This is a fire engine red powder coated, which I love powder coating, but I'm not sure it's the best way to go right now. But I did various samples in the primary colors. So right now, even though you were expected to go to market maybe the second week of October, that probably will not change, because we got to find a plant who can do anodizing with potential color and get the hinge correct, because the hinge is critical as to this is not the right word, tightness of bringing what they call the arm up. So if you want it tighter, then of course you turn the hinge. If you want it looser, then you turn the hinge the other way. And the current manufacturer in Vietnam, you can keep turning the hinge, but it doesn't get tighter. So that's like, and I think it has to do with the washers in between. So we're still in sample phases right now. That's where I am. It started in late January.
Well, thank you for showing us the sample, because it makes it a lot easier to see what you're trying to accomplish and how far you've come. You've done well, and nobody put pandemic in their 2020 business plan. So the fact that you survived, kudos to you. The people that came out of it, but a lot of inventors now are just getting started. Others, it's like, you know what, I kind of gave up there and now I'm back at it. So yeah, we all get back on the horse and right away into the sunset. So anyway, anything else you guys want to add? Any questions?
I do. I have another question.
Okay.
Someone in a fulfillment company in LA that ITI referred me to said that it's absolutely necessary, I wrote it down, that I need a UPC code on my boxes.
Yes.
He said it's not a barcode like we think it is, like a SKU. It's a UPC code. So I haven't seen them on stuff I've ordered, but what is the importance of a UPC code, and do you absolutely need to have it?
Yes, and it's a way that they do the inventories.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, if they're not expensive to get, but you need to go and get one that is unique to you.
Okay.
And most likely we'll need one for each color.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So when you go out, and you can go out and look for, you know, UPC codes, like I said, they're not real expensive. And you can get usually they'll say, you know, do you want 1 or 6? So you can get a series at a discount. Yes, you do need, it's, you know, it used to be there for a while. Everything was, you know, the barcode, and then the new part is the UPC code.
Okay. Well, in addition to when I was showing you the show and tell, with Django, it's going to be 1 Django and 2 mounting rings. And then I'm going to do an upsell of a package of 2 more mounting rings. One is, I forgot if it's 1 or 2 mounting pucks. I forgot which. I want to say 1. And then another upsell packaging, like a Ziploc packaging, of a mounting puck and 2 mounting rings. So I'll need a UPC code for silver, red, green, and blue, and one for each one of the upsell packages.
All right. Question I have for you.
Uh-huh.
Where did you get the name?
Django?
Yeah.
It originally was Tango, but I discovered there were too many products and services and companies with Tango names. So because I liked the pronunciation, the thought of Tango, my IP attorney said, go find something else that is similar and spell it phonetically. So that's what I did. I went through the whole alphabet. Now, yes, there's a Django Unchained with the D in front of it. That is a movie by, I forgot his name right now, but Jamie Foxx was in it. And I think Brad Pitt. Quentin Tarantino did it. So I'm not concerned about that comparison. I also know there's a game out there that is, I think, somewhat similar in the pronunciation, but I don't think in the spelling. So as far as I know, there's not too much out there that is Django. And the logo, if you can, I don't know if this is too far or too close. All right, Adam, let's get past the screen.
Okay.
Is a little sort of asterisk in between the 2 G's is, I sort of look like a little person jumping up and down.
Okay. All right.
So, and I did different colors because, again, I wanted to be fun. And a friend's like, you're thinking Google. And I'm like, I didn't, unless it was subconscious, that was not my thought. My thought was to be fun, to be colorful.
All right, Shelley, what is your tagline?
Design that elevates technology.
No, it doesn't work.
Why not?
Because nobody's going to Google that to find you.
No, I'm sorry, nobody's going to Google that to do what?
Nobody's going to Google that to find you.
Okay.
Let me give you an example. Okay. So somebody's got to be able to find you to buy the product, right?
That's true.
All right. If you don't have a line that someone would Google, that's got words in it that someone would Google to find you, you are going to pay a ton of money in marketing to teach them what your name is. All right. So Apple paid, let me get through this. Apple paid a buttload of money to teach you that an apple is something that you play on instead of something that you eat.
Correct.
All right. So when you look at being an independent inventor, you got to be really smart with your words.
Okay.
So when you pick at a random spelling of something and nobody would know what to Google to find you, you are setting yourself up from a really expensive marketing campaign, because you got to teach everybody what it is. And then it's like, but wait a minute. Now, what does it do? Because it doesn't explain it. So when I had the folks that did the pet product years ago, they wanted to call it Tag-a-Beaner after Carabiner, because it was a very, you know, it held things together like a Carabiner does. And I said, Tag-a-Beaner? Who's going to Google Tag-a-Beaner? Nobody, because nobody knows. So their tagline was pet tag holder, because that's exactly what it does. Now, back then, you know, 15 years ago, it was a lot easier to get the .com, but that's exactly what it does. So when people would Google pet tag holder, now Tag-a-Beaner was one of the first things that came up.
Okay, so you're saying not only is the tagline not great, but the actual name Django is not great. So even if you take the name, and I'm not, people have brought this up to me before, not a lot, but some have. So even if you take the name away, how are you going to describe in probably one word, if not 2 at the most, something, because I thought about it so many times, something that is a stand, that most people use it as a stand, it is also a mounting system. It can be used for consumer. It can be used for the kitchen. It can be used on a classroom. It can be used multiple.
Okay, you're getting too far into the woods.
Okay.
You know, get a group of your friends together, sit them around the kitchen table with a good bottle of wine, and say, what would you Google to find this? And you write down the words, and then you put the line together.
Okay.
All right? And you know, keep the name. If that name speaks to you, it's like the name of my company is Flacusa. All right, FLC, faith, love, and commitment. It speaks to me, doesn't speak to anybody else, speaks to me. So that's my name. All right, well, people were wanting to put a vowel in there. When you think about the other vowels on faith, love, and commitment, they don't end up in a good place. So I said, stick an E in there. And they said, well, Fleck.com was taken by a German company. And I go, oh my God, put USA on the end of it and we were good to go. Flacusa was born. Nobody knows what to Google to find that. They don't need to. They Google Inventor Lady. I come up. They can Google Invent America. But the name of my business, all right, is FLC LLC. Well, that's the tax number's under. So if you go with your name, you know, if you go with your name and then you find a good tagline, get the .com and then do a redirect to your website on that. So let me give you another example. I had a guy that wanted to do a tool for hanging a door, but he wanted to call it Door Dog. Oh, come on. You know, it's like, do you know how many times you Google Door Dog and what comes up is doggy doors? Millions of them. All right. So his tagline was how to hang a door. Well, howtohangadoor.com now redirected to his website. And when you Google how to hang a door, Door Dog comes up. So you've got to be really smart with your words and the way you use the redirects. What would someone Google to find you? It doesn't ever have to show up on, you know, any kind of advertising or website. It is what do people Google? Get a .com on it and direct it to your website.
Okay. All right.
All right. Fairly inexpensive way of doing some marketing and get it out there. And you can even use the bottle of wine as a deduction on the research and development. Because you're doing research with your friends, okay? But, you know, that's kind of learning to play with the words is really critical for the inventors because you can spend just a ton of money teaching somebody to Google something that they didn't even know existed, even though it's a great product. Sure. And so when you say, what would you Google to find this? And then you combine the words. I used to do the same thing when I was naming my novels. It's like, what, you know, what does this say? What does it talk to? And I would sit down with a list of words and a list of adjectives, and that's where we would start coming up with the names of the books. Okay. Well, I do want to say, though, that also Django is a product name. It's not the company name. And I understood that. I understood that it was a product name. So, you know, it's like Tagabiner. You know, they just wanted that name and that's fine. But the tagline is what people would Google to find them. So, and even if your friends come up with a couple of different suggestions and you get 2 different taglines, you know, to get the .com is relatively inexpensive when it comes to the marketing and you just direct it to the website. So if they're Googling, you know, how to hang a phone, how to use my phone for, you know, TV, how to hang it from a cabinet, anything that your friends come up with. And honestly, your friends are going to be probably your best resource. Well, the other thing I had in the very beginning, I called it more of a description than a tagline, was just universal mobile stand. Think about, you know, think again about using very basic words that someone would Google. Okay. You're elevating universal. Nope, not something everybody would use. You know, like I said, get your friends over, throw a bunch of words out there, buy 2 bottles of wine, and see what they come up with. Okay, I will. And then you mix them together and you see what makes them. And if you end up getting 2, you get 2. All right. But that is the hidden trick. It's like when you go to you know, you check your suitcase in at the airlines and you have no idea who's touched it. But by golly, somebody got it off one ramp and up the you know, the ramp at a new airport. You never know what's under, you know, behind the scenes. And so that's where your taglines come in. We call it a tagline because it goes with your name. Sometimes you have a really cute one that goes, you know, Tagabiner, pet tag holder went right underneath it. Other guys use different things and it never shows up anywhere. Nike's just do it. I mean, it's simple, plain to the point. Okay. Powerful. Okay. That's your assignment, my dear, for next time. All right, I will. All right, guys. Anybody else got anything? Otherwise, you know, have a wonderful 4th of July.
I had a question. Looking at your website today, there was, across near the banner at the top, a list of or one you can click on for products. So what's the deal with those products that are shown there that come up when you click on that?
Some of those we are working on licensing. Some of they were at the trade show with us, and we're updating those on a regular basis. There's some that have got to come off. But for the most part, those are the ones that are either on the radio show or I am the licensing agent for them. And we're getting ready to separate those out, products that have been on the radio show. But normally on the radio show one, where you're on the radio show website, there's always a cross-reference back and forth.
So can those be purchased now, or they're not yet, or what's the...
Oh, no, some of them are for licensing, but some of them can be purchased.
Okay, how can you tell which ones are available just when you click on? Just click on it.
Yeah, which one do you want? Yeah, if you.
I don't remember which ones were there, but
if you click on them, it generally will. If they're available, it will go to their website.
Okay, that's the answer.
If it doesn't go to a website, it's because there isn't one in it. They're not available.
Okay.
I would say probably about half of them are available.
Oh, all right. Good.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys. If there's anything else, give me a call, shoot me an email.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Good night, John.
Bye.